What does light emission mean? Only the Buddha emits light from the body. If one is not a Buddha, one does not emit light. Therefore, because Shakyamuni Buddha did not emit light from his body, he could not become a Buddha. Because monks and Buddhists do not know well about light emission, I will speak about light emission. What does light emission mean? Only the Buddha emits light from the body. If one is not a Buddha, one does not emit light. Therefore, because Shakyamuni Buddha did not emit light from his body, he could not become a Buddha. From the body of the Buddha comes Buddha's enlightened light. It shines like sunlight. Even monks who learn the enlightenment do not know well about Buddha's enlightened light, and the reason is that there is a reason. Because Shakyamuni Buddha did not have Buddha's enlightened light, this is not even mentioned in the scriptures. Then what is Buddhism? One may ask. The existing Buddhism is the law of living being, so they do not know well what Buddha's enlightened light is. It may be a very unfamiliar term. When the Buddha comes to the Saha world in the form of a living Buddha, the body emits light like sunlight. I have served the true Buddha who came to the Saha world, Maitreya Buddha, and I have seen and filmed the light emission from the body of Maitreya Buddha. I have filmed countless times the light emitting from the Ushnisha beads, the light emission from the Ushnisha, the light emission from the hands, the light emission from 84,000 pores, and also from the eyes, the waist, and the shinbone. I have filmed the light emission many times, and decisively, as the symbol of the Buddha who has attained Buddhahood. I filmed the moment when a lotus bloomed from the body as light was emitted. When I filmed the Buddha emitting light from the body, I thought I was going to faint from shock. I nearly fainted. Even now, when I recall it, my chest tightens, and my head goes numb. I never even dreamed that the Buddha would come to the Saha world and I would see with my own eyes and film him emitting light. I personally saw and filmed the light emission from the body of Maitreya Buddha who came to the Saha world. The faithful standing nearby also saw the light emission with their naked eyes to that extent. I saw the holy sight of the Buddha who came to the Saha world emitting light from his body, and my heart stopped and I couldn't breathe, so I nearly died. As I remember, I had such a great shock 3 to 4 times, but when I filmed the light emission from the body of the Buddha, I was so startled that my heart stopped. My heart stopped abruptly and would not beat, so I opened up my chest with my hand and sat still for a while, and the thought that came to me was of the monks, because I am a monk who left home. When I saw and filmed the Buddha who came to the Saha world, emitting light from his body, the images of monks came to my mind. All the monks across the country came to my mind, so I cried out, "Monks! The Buddha has come to the Saha world, he is emitting light from his body. Monks, come quickly and witness the holy sight of the living Buddha, emitting light in the Saha world and learn the enlightened Buddhism, and in this one life, you will attain Buddhahood. Come quickly," I shouted like that, and I posted on my blog the footage of the Buddha emitting light, because I did not want to forget the inspiration of that moment. When a Buddha comes to the Saha world as a living Buddha with a body, that Buddha's body emits the light. Light radiates brilliantly from that body like the light of the sun. I was the very first person, the very first among the 6 billion people on this earth, to see the appearance of the Buddha, who came to the Saha world emitting the light. I do not know how, or through what karmic connection, I came to be the very first in the world, in this realm, to see and capture the appearance of the Maitreya Buddha, who came to the Saha world, emitting the light from his body. But I was truly deeply moved, thinking, wow, I had only learned about Buddha from scriptures, but a being called Buddha emits the light from the body like this. Light flashes out like the sun's light, and the body itself is made of light. I realized that, truly, he was so holy that I put my palms together and, giving thanks that the holy Buddha had come to the Saha world, I performed the rite of 3 prostrations right there on the spot. Thank you, Buddha, for coming to the Saha world. Thank you, Buddha, for coming to the Saha World, to be beside living beings, beside us. Like this, I offered 3 prostrations. Even as I speak like this, I am so overcome with emotion that tears come to my eyes. However, the reason I am speaking about this light emission is that Buddhists and monks know nothing about this light emission at all. Indeed, although it has been almost 30 years since I became a Buddhist priest, before that, I didn't know that Buddha emits the light, nor did I know that light comes out from Buddha's body. After meeting the Maitreya Buddha who came to the Saha World, the Yonghwa Maitreya Buddha, I learned that Buddha emits the light from his body and light comes out, a brilliant light like that of the sun, and because I photographed the appearance of the Holy Buddha, I was truly deeply moved. I was so thankful to Shakyamuni Buddha, because I met Maitreya Buddha through the guidance of Shakyamuni Buddha. I offered praise to my master Shakyamuni Buddha. Holy Shakyamuni Buddha, thank you for guiding this disciple to the holy Maitreya Buddha after 2,600 years, allowing me to see the appearance of him emitting the light with this brilliant Buddha's enlightened light, and thank you so much for allowing me to receive instruction in the enlightened Buddhism, truly amazing enlightened Buddhism that has not yet emerged on earth. Having said this, I pledged to Shakyamuni Buddha that I would uphold Shakyamuni Buddha's will and inform the world that Maitreya Buddha has come to the Saha World. That Buddha emits the light from his body has a very important meaning. Shindo too can only be performed by a Buddha. Living beings cannot perform Shindo. The reason is that because Buddha emits the light from his body, with the Buddha's enlightened light coming from that body, he can extinguish the bad karma of souls in an instant, perform Shindo for them, and send them onto the path of samsara. He can send them onto the path of attaining Buddhahood. Because the Maitreya Buddha who came to the Saha World is enlightened, he can send living beings onto the path of samsara and cause rebirth in the Yonghwa world. Now, many Buddhists probably understand that Shindo can only be performed by a Buddha who emits the light from the body. So, if you go to a temple now, there is a Buddha statue. Buddhists who attend temples will have often seen monks at the temple creating that Buddha statue and performing the opening one's eyes ceremony. However, when monks at the temple say they are opening the eyes of the Buddha statue, poking it with a brush and sprinkling water with cut pine branches, that is not opening one's eyes. Can the eyes of a Buddha statue be opened like that? And when opening the eyes of a Buddha statue, how can monks perform the opening one's eyes ceremony to make the Buddha's eyes open? It is something that does not make sense, for the Buddha statue's eyes to be opened through the ceremony, for the Buddha to open his eyes and give blessings to the Buddhists who come to that temple to pray, bow, and worship before the Buddha must open his eyes. But how can monks perform the opening one's eyes ceremony so that the Buddha opens his eyes and the Buddha is born? The Buddha who emits the light, does so with the Buddha's enlightened light coming from his body, and it is when that Buddha's enlightened light is shot into the eyes of the Buddha statue that the statue opens its eyes. How could the eyes be opened because monks poke it with a brush and sprinkle water with cut pine branches? That is performing magic, not opening one's eyes. Try splashing water into the eyes of a living person. If water gets in the eyes, it feels unpleasant. What kind of opening one's eyes is that? The Buddha statue is inanimate, and you splash water on it. So, will the inanimate Buddha statue open its eyes? Buddhists, please think about it. How can a Buddha statue open its eyes? Just because you dab it with a brush and sprinkle water with a pine branch, the person performing the opening one's eyes ceremony is a living being, an unenlightened monk, not a Buddha. So how could the Buddha open his eyes, is what I am saying. For a Buddha statue to have its eyes opened, for the Buddha statue to open its eyes, the Maitreya Buddha, who emits the light from his body must shoot that Buddha's enlightened light into the eyes of the Buddha statue. Only then does that Buddha statue open its eyes. So, Opening one's eyes refers to the Buddha opening his eyes. When the Buddha's enlightened light is shown upon the eyes, the Buddha opens his eyes through the wooden statue. That is what is called opening one's eyes. All Buddha statues in temples across Korea have not been opened 100%. They are all false Buddhas. Therefore, all Buddha statues in temples nationwide must receive the Buddha's enlightened light and be opened by the living Maitreya Buddha, who has come to the Saha World for the statues to open their eyes and truly undergo the eye-opening ritual. Only then can the Buddhas who go to the temple to pray, bow, or pay respect be able to spiritually commune with the Buddha. Any statue not opened in this way is completely useless. A Buddha statue that has not been opened is no different from a telephone pole. It can just be thrown away. It should be discarded in the trash. A Buddha sitting like a useless robot without his eyes open, how can that be called a Buddha statue? That's why monks who are not properly educated must listen to my words carefully and take them to heart. A statue that has not been opened and yet people are told to bow before it as though the Buddha is there, that is nothing but a show and a magic trick. There is nothing there. That kind of statue must be thrown away. Now, all the monks and Buddhists across the country should understand what light emission means. Light emission is something that only the Buddha emits from his body. Light emission is the very sign that one is a Buddha. Like the light of the sun, the Buddha's enlightened light pours out. What does that mean? It means one has come enlightened, because one is the Buddha. The existing statues are not Buddhas, they are just statues. How can you expect good fortune, wealth, or good events in your family by praying to those? There is nothing there. That is why, even though ordinary monks are performing Chindo ceremonies, Chindo can only be done by the Buddha. This is because the Buddha emits light from his body, and that Buddha's enlightened light from his body can instantly extinguish the bad karma committed by spirits during their lifetime and lead them to the path of samsara through Chindo. Only a living Buddha can perform Chindo. Chindo is done through the light emission from the Buddha's body. How could a living being possibly do Chindo? If Chindo could be done by anyone, even a dog or a mackerel, then there would be no problems in life. What would there be to worry about? One could just go around, deceiving and robbing others for a living, and then, upon death, give money to one's child and say, "Son, please go to a temple and perform a Chindo ceremony for me just once. Then I will be reborn in a good place. Please do it for me just once." And if the son asks a monk to conduct the Chindo ceremony once at a temple, and that's enough to be reborn in a good place, then what's the point of believing in the Buddha, living honestly, kindly, and righteously? If living recklessly and having one Chindo ceremony is enough, isn't that absurd? What kind of Chindo is that? Chindo can only be done by the Buddha, and that is why the Maitreya Buddha, who came to the Saha World, is the most precious being on this earth. Therefore, all Buddhists and monks across the country must come to the Maitreya Buddha, who emits light from his body, and surely embrace Buddhism, receive the enlightened Dharma, and attain Buddhahood. Only the Buddha can emit light, and only the Buddha can perform Chindo. Now, dear Buddhists, you all understand, don't you? Thank you. I'll see you again next time.
The law of all things in the universe, the Gong thought. The teachings of Yonghwa Maitreya Buddha, the founder of the Gong thought. An enlightened Buddha emits light from his body and saves living beings with Buddha's enlightened light. The light of the sun that creates all things is Buddha's enlightened light. And only the Buddha's enlightened light of an enlightened Buddha can make humans reincarnate. The Buddha's enlightened light of the living Buddha. That is precisely the Gong thought. Receiving Shugi means embracing Buddha's enlightened light, that is, the Gong thought, within my body. After death, there is no samsara, only everything becomes extinct. If you receive Shugi with the Buddha's enlightened light of an enlightened Buddha, you will have eyes that can see the Yonghwa world even after death. Chendo and Shugi are only possible through the Buddha's enlightened light of an enlightened Buddha. Don't receive Chendo after death, receive Shugi while you are alive. Believe and follow only what you can see, hear, and confirm. The dead cannot arise interdependently, only the living can arise interdependently. Just as gold cannot be made artificially, a Buddha comes as a Buddha from the beginning, and a living being cannot become a Buddha through prayer or Zen meditation. However, those who have received Shugi can receive Buddha's enlightened light and become living Buddhas. All these Gong thought were created by Yonghwa Maitreya Buddha. Like the sky and the earth, the sea and the mountains, the source of life and creation, the limitless and eternal truth, the Gong thought. See, hear, and meet Yonghwa Maitreya Buddha's Gong thought directly every Sunday at Yonghwa Temple in Surazan Mountain, Anyang.